All right, guys, it's your boy Josh back again with another video. Today we have a comparison between the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Essentially, what I want to talk about today is what device is my favorite. So right now I use both devices on a daily basis. I've got one phone number on the iPhone 16 Pro Max and I've got one phone number on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Let's go ahead and have an ultimate showdown between the two beasts. All right, so in my opinion, these two phones are some of the best phones you can get on the market. They have absolute quality design, quality screens, quality cameras, quality software. But when it comes to a tech nerd like myself, which phone do I typically prefer to use? Now, like I mentioned, I do use both phones on a daily basis, so I have a really good idea of which one is my favorite. When you look at these designs, they are actually very similar. So you have the front and glass backs, you have the titanium sides with the beautiful titanium buttons, and of course you have those very similar signal strength antenna lines there. They both have USB-C ports, they both have dual speakers, they both have ultra-wide main and telephoto cameras, although the S25 Ultra has one additional telephoto camera, I believe. And of course, they are both 6.9-inch displays. Now, when you look at these two displays, they are actually more similar than not. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max has this beautiful 6.9-inch high-resolution display. And I think Apple/Samsung did a really good job with this display. For me, it is very sharp. It has very thin bezels, which I love in my phones. It has perfect color representation, color accuracy. And I don't have any issues with this display except one feature. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has an anti-reflective display. Now, I will mention very briefly that I am using the Samsung anti-reflective screen protector, and you can kind of see the cutout there. But this particular anti-reflective screen protector is essentially the exact same thing you get with the glass, right? And it is amazing. I love the anti-reflective screen on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Whenever you use this phone outside, or in my situation, studio lights, it is amazing. If you have not tried a Samsung phone with this new coating, you are really missing out. I will show you very briefly. Both phone screens are on, and this is a comparison between the glare and the studio lights. So as you can see, the applications here, you can barely see them, but on the Samsung, you can still see them pretty clearly. Same thing over here. It's hard to pick up on camera, but trust me, there is a massive difference. But other than the anti-reflective display, the screen is great on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. It's very sharp, very bright, very colorfully beautiful and accurate, and it just looks really good. By the way, guys, I know you all love my wallpapers. Let me show you very quickly what apps I use for downloading wallpapers. So the very first app is Wally, and that is actually where I got this wallpaper, but it is an application that has a wide selection of wallpapers. So Wally is a really good one. I also love the application Resplash. Now, if you are familiar with Unsplash, which I believe is like a free hosted pictures website or something, they have fantastic photos. And Resplash uses Unsplash as wallpapers. And as you can see here, they have a bunch of different wallpapers. But I really like the Resplash app because you can expand the grid size for the wallpapers whenever you are scrolling. And you can also adjust the quality. So this just gives me the best way to browse Unsplash's wallpapers. And then last but not least, I use the One for Wall application as well for wallpapers. So all of these wallpaper apps are free, but I wanted to show you all this just so you knew where I get my wallpapers. Now, jumping back to the design, both of these phones are designed very similarly. Like I said, they have beautiful screens at the front, beautifully thin bezels all the way around, and they both feel fantastic in the hand. The S25 Ultra is actually a smidge lighter than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but I feel like whenever I hold and use the 16 Pro Max, it just feels a little bit lighter to me. And I am not entirely sure why, but they both feel fantastic. I really do like the somewhat squared off edges on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Whenever you are watching content, it really gives you a beautiful looking rectangle there. for your media consumption, and I love that about it. Both designs are fantastic, but I think if I had to choose one, I would go with the uniqueness of the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now, while we are talking about multimedia, let me pull up a YouTube video here. Let's just pull up my own channel, and we will bring up the Galaxy S25 Ultra review because I want you all to see the HDR performance, and I want you to listen to the speakers. So let's go ahead and play this particular video. Okay, so which is the Galaxy S25 Ultra review. We'll do 4K 60 HDR, and then we'll pull up the same video on the Galaxy S25 Ultra here. What I am going to do is turn it all the way up, and I want you all to listen to this difference. Now we will go ahead and maximize the screens here. Now what I want to say is, let me go ahead and make the brightness at the max. Now what I want to say here is that I prefer watching HDR videos on the iPhone 16 Pro Max because it feels brighter, like the HDR is better on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the 10-bit versus 8-bit displays, but I can definitely tell a difference with how bright and juicy the HDR looks on the iPhone 16 Pro Max versus the Galaxy S25 Ultra. But the Galaxy S25 Ultra, my favorite feature on this phone is the speaker sound and quality. The speakers on this phone sound absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know if this is going to broadcast through on my particular setup here, but I want you guys to look at this really quickly. So let's just watch like just a few seconds and see if you can hear a sound difference and see a difference with the HDR performance. And let's start with the iPhone. Okay, so the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I have used this phone for a little over 6 months now, and my experience with it has changed dramatically. With my last Galaxy S25 Ultra review, I was pretty harsh on this phone, and there is that. And then let's look at it on the S25 Ultra and listen. So the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I have used this phone for a little over 6 months now, and my experience with it has changed dramatically. With my last Galaxy S25 Ultra review, I was pretty harsh on this phone. Dude, I am telling you all right now, the speakers on the Galaxy S25 Ultra are insanity. I love it. Now, what's crazy is I always felt like the iPhone 16 Pro Max had some of the best speakers I ever heard whenever I first got that phone. But this Galaxy is on another level. Now, let me look one more time at the screens and see if you guys can see the difference in the HDR performance. I don't know if you will be able to or not, but experiencing an Ultra phone for the very first time, I had very high expectations. And the expectations were mostly met, but the phone was not perfect. I had issues with battery life, overheating, and other random software bugs. And now that I have jumped back. So yeah, when it comes to the HDR, the screen actually looks better on the iPhone in terms of brightness. I feel like the Galaxy is probably more accurate, and it's also probably more saturated. You know, like the colors look better. I like the Galaxy S25 Ultra a lot because of that multimedia experience. I think I love the rectangular looking display and the speaker quality on the Galaxy S25 Ultra more. Oh man, look at that. But I love the HDR performance on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what phone you would prefer if you were a multimedia gangster. Really, right here, you can see a big difference between the HDR performance. You will also notice that you have that beautiful pinhole design right there inside of the top of the display for the camera. And you have the big, gigantic dynamic island cut out there. So I don't know, guys, it's a pick or choose. I'm going with the Galaxy here, but honestly, you can't go wrong. I will say that the speakers are so damn amazing on the Galaxy that it is very hard to not love this phone in that aspect. All right, performance. So this year was the first year Snapdragon phones were actually beating an Apple phone in terms of the overall performance when it comes to benchmarks. Now, that is definitely not something that is typical, but this year they've done it. The Snapdragon 8 Elite chip on the Galaxy S25 Ultra is amazing. Pretty much everything I do on this phone is buttery smooth. I haven't used a Samsung phone exclusively as long as I've used this phone in a very long time. So I will definitely say that my expectations were definitely met. This phone is blazing fast. I have no issues doing anything, running multiple applications, video editing, gaming. I have no issues at all. I love the performance on this Galaxy S25 Ultra. And Samsung, they have, like I said, they've come a very, very long way when it comes to the user experience of their operating system working well with Android now. So boom, 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 boom. Everything is just fast. I don't have any issues with this phone at all. And of course, on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the Apple Bionic processors are always great. I have no performance issues on this phone, typically. Now, I will mention that I am running the iOS 26 beta, and that has come with its own slew of performance issues. But even with it being on a really, really early iOS beta, it still runs pretty great. There just seems to be a lot more performance blimps on this beta, but whenever you are running public software on both devices, they both perform very equally. And this is the area where I honestly have to give it a tie. I can't say one is better than the other in terms of performance. All right, let's talk about the software. So like I mentioned, I am on the iOS 26 beta. And of course, the iOS 26 beta comes with a bunch of different features with liquid glass and other adjustments. But overall, the operating system is honestly very similar. Like for example, the menu bar now has this glassy looking animation. I do like liquid glass a lot with iOS 26, but it wasn't really that big of a change. And then over here, I am still using One UI 7. Now I did try out the One UI 8 beta, but the benefit of having a Samsung phone that runs Android and One UI in 2025 is the customization. So I've made a couple of videos about this. I've talked about it in my Galaxy S25 Ultra long-term review, so I won't spend too much time on it. But the benefit of the Samsung One UI software, to me, is good lock. Good lock is absolutely amazing. So for example, as you guys see here, my home screen looks a little bit different. I don't have like a bottom favorites bar, as you call it here on an iPhone. Now, if you go to the Samsung store and download Good Lock, these are all of the extensions I have installed, and I use the Home Up application to customize my home screen, along with the icons as well. So I've got an icon pack here that looks totally different from the built-in icons. I just love the customization of One UI and Good Lock. And that alone gives me a huge edge of Samsung versus iOS right now. But I could say that about a lot of phones. That gives the edge in terms of this phone versus the OnePlus 13. My tried and true Pixel 9 Pro. The Google software experience doesn't include any type of customization really. Obviously you can download external launchers, but why would anyone want to do that when you can use the built-in launcher that runs extremely fluid and fast and consistent while giving it a new look? So I absolutely love Good Lock. I absolutely love the customization it offers. It allows me to customize my edge lighting, which let me show you guys what the edge lighting looks like. It allows me to customize lighting that comes around the phone with my notifications. There's just a lot you can do with Samsung's One UI. And that is just a very brief overview of some of the stuff you can do, but I do definitely enjoy One UI 7 more in terms of customization. Now, with the iPhone, you do definitely get a more consistent experience. I've had a few issues with the Galaxy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I have definitely had issues with the Galaxy that I have not experienced with the iPhone. So overall, the software experience on this phone will be more consistent, typically. Now, of course, that differs for everybody, but yeah, it's typically more consistent. Now, iOS 18, they had some bugs here and there on this particular software, and I've talked about that in my previous videos as well. But overall, iPhones, you typically get a more consistent experience. And one of the big areas on this phone that is a major determining factor for me is the battery life. So the Galaxy S25 Ultra has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And honestly, I think they can go larger. They've had a 5,000 milliamp hour battery for a very long time on their Galaxy Ultra phones. And I definitely believe it's time for them to jump it up. But yeah, overall on this phone, I typically get a day's worth of usage with my usage. Now, I will mention I am a very hard, heavy user. I use my phones for everything from content creation, like I'm recording on a phone right now. I do everything on my job with my phones, and I just like to have fun. So I like to game on my phones. I like to take pictures and videos and just beat the heck out of my devices. And right now, there's no comparison what battery is better. So like I said, on this phone, I will typically unplug it 7 o'clock in the morning, and by 10:30, it will be almost dead. And that for me is not good enough. Now on the iPhone, I can typically run the exact same duties with this phone, and 7 a.m. unplug it. By 10:30 p.m. I will a lot of times, especially before the beta here, have between 30 and 50% battery left. So for me, the iPhone is a heavy user, day and a half phone, and the Galaxy is a heavy user, 1 day phone. I will mention that on both of these phones, I can definitely kill both of them within a single day, especially if I am using the cameras a lot. But honestly, that is just to be expected. There isn't a phone out there right now that I have used that can run and rock the cameras and the recording all day long and not have any issues. So right now, the batteries on these are both pretty good, but the iPhone, for me, destroys it. And let's talk about the cooling system on the phones. Now, Samsung, they broadcasted that they increased their vapor cooling by 40% or something like that. And typically this phone does run smooth unless you have weirdness. I don't know what it is. I have tested this on multiple phones. Right now, I'm actually recording on the Galaxy S25 Edge, and I tested a couple of theories that definitely hold true. And there is a weird bug with the official YouTube application and the YouTube app overheating on Galaxy phones. And that particular overheating issue, I have resolved it, but I had to do a lot in order to get it to resolve. And before I actually fixed that issue, I had issues with this Ultra and this brand new Edge with overheating, unfortunately. So I definitely have a lot more heating issues with this phone and Galaxies in general compared to the brand new Pixels, like the Pixel 9s and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I almost never, ever get this phone heated up, unless recording a lot of videos and ambient temperatures are a problem. I feel like that's probably one of the determining factors of why my battery is so good. I typically can't get this phone to heat up at all. I know the iPhone 15 Pro Max series had a lot of issues, but I have 0 issues with my iPhone 16 Pro Max. But even without the YouTube application being stupid and buggy, which like I said, I fixed, and I am gonna make a video about that. I will probably release it very soon. I do have a fix for the YouTube overheating issue on the Galaxy phones. But other than the YouTube app overheating, it also seems like this phone heats up a lot more in your hand than the iPhone does. Like you can feel heat more often. It's not necessarily a problem, but the phone definitely feels a lot warmer a lot more often than my iPhone does. And that's comparing One UI 7 to the beta version of iOS. So just keep that in mind. If you are a heavy user, you may experience some heating up on your Galaxy. Not necessarily to where the phone is overheating to where it like shuts down and stuff, but there have been occasions to where this phone gets stupid hot. We'll talk very briefly about ecosystem. Now, I have been a primary iPhone guy for a while now, so I do have like Apple Watch Ultra and AirPods. But Samsung, nowadays, I personally have not used all of their new ecosystem devices like the Galaxy Watch Ultra and the other Galaxy Watches and or the Galaxy Buds. But I have plenty of friends and plenty of other tech tubers that I trust that use Samsung ecosystem products. So I don't think you will have any issues at all with your ecosystem and finding other devices to complement your main device. Like if this is your only phone and you wanted this, you wanted the Samsung Buds, you wanted the Samsung Galaxy Watch or Watch Ultra or whatever, or Watch Classic, then I think you will be perfectly fine using those particular pieces of hardware with your main phone here. I just can't speak on it specifically just because I invested in like this Apple Watch a long time ago. Actually, it's almost been 3 years and I just haven't had to worry about it. But like if I jumped directly to the Galaxy S25 Ultra as my only phone in my arsenal, I don't think I would have an issue at all with using the Samsung's ecosystem. And of course, you know what Apple does. They have an ecosystem that just typically just works and that has a lot of cool features. For example, I use a M4 Mac Mini and I have an iPad Mini. And I've tested other iPads as well. And everything just works perfectly together, from the watch to the tablet to the desktop computer. Everything just works great. So I will say the ecosystem, in my experience, I would have to give it to the iPhones, just because one, that's what I've used. And for two, that is kind of, you know, what's well known. It sounds terrible. But yeah, I don't think you'll have an issue with the Samsung ecosystem at all. Software updates. So Samsung, they offer a 7-year software update plan for the Galaxy S series devices, especially starting with the Galaxy S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra. They're promising 7 years of software updates. And iPhones are kind of just all over the place. So you can have an iPhone that grants you support for like 8 years, but then I feel like in the past they've done a shorter time duration. So I don't think Apple has officially given a word on how long they will support phones. If you know, please let us know in the comments, but I don't think Apple has ever gave a clear answer on that. But yeah, with either phone, I think you will be okay in terms of software updates and longevity. This is the part that can get extremely in depth, and that is the camera systems. So the Galaxy has a main 200 megapixel camera. The iPhone's is 48 megapixels. And they both have ultra wide lenses and telephoto lenses. Now, ultra wide on the iPhone is 48 megapixels and the ultra wide on the Galaxy is 50 megapixels. But the Galaxy has a 3x telephoto lens, which I think is only like 10 megapixels. And then they also have a 5x telephoto lens that is a 50 megapixel. And the iPhone is only a 12 megapixel telephoto lens that is also 5x. Now, this was a hard decision for me. I personally very much enjoy both of these cameras. And for right now, we'll talk about still photos. The still photos that are produced on both of these phones look absolutely amazing in normal lighting. So whenever you're outside taking pictures of like yourself, your family, architectures, landscapes, everything, both cameras look insane. Now, I am the kind of person who enjoys using a phone with a telephoto lens. So I do a lot of zoom shots on both of these phones, and they both are great at that, up to 25x. So the iPhone can only take photos up to 25x. And of course the Samsung, you can zoom in up to 100x. Now the range between 25 and 100, it's not the best, obviously, but I love how I have that option to shoot up to 100x if I need to. That to me is fantastic when it comes to the cameras on this phone. So I do love the reachability on this phone, but at the same time, the iPhone overall, in terms of low light, the iPhone camera to me is way better. So whenever you're at a situation to where, I don't know, it's like dark in the kitchen and your kids are playing at the dinner table, which I do a lot, the iPhone's camera will shoot those photos a lot better almost every single time. And especially when it comes to motion in low light, there are a lot of situations to where the Galaxy will have motion blur, I guess is what you call it, in terms of taking a photo in a low light situation when it comes to people, that the iPhone does not have. So that's cool. So that's one thing that I definitely noticed. Now, when you look at the video cameras, I love both video cameras. So I shoot my entire channel on phones specifically, or exclusively. I don't use actual cameras at all. Maybe in the future I will, but I really love testing out phones, and what better way of testing out phones than using them to make all of your content, right? At least in terms of the video cameras. The video cameras on both of these phones are ridiculously good. There are a lot of video projects I have done to where I shot a bunch of videos on the iPhone and then shot a bunch of videos on the Galaxy and put them both in the same video, and nobody knew a difference. They just knew that the camera quality looked fantastic. And that's going from the ultra wide lens, the main lens, the telephoto lens, the front facing lens. I don't have any issues with either cameras. So I will say both video cameras are great. I like the way Galaxy boosts the saturation just a tiny bit on the videos. And a lot of times when I'm doing product demonstrations or whatever, just like this, where we're looking at stuff, a lot of the times the Galaxy will look a little bit better just because of the color reproduction. But the iPhone definitely, that not being as saturated, it looks a little bit more realistic, I guess. But a lot of times I will have to go in and edit like the saturation and contrast a little bit on this. and the Galaxy, I just rock it how it is. So it kind of just depends how I'm feeling. It kind of just depends on the lighting in that particular situation. Yeah, both phones are incredible video cameras. Now, of course, the video cameras on the Galaxy, you get a lot more zoom out of it. So I think that that's really cool, but the quality severely degrades the farther you go, as expected. And then on the iPhone side, whenever you're recording videos, the camera lens switching looks way more smooth on the iPhone. So I feel like overall, I like the way the iPhone cameras are, I don't even know how to say this. I like the iPhone cameras better. The video and the photos, especially the raw photos. I know I'm jumping back to photos instead of video, but the raw photos are a lot easier to take on this phone, and I feel like they look more raw than what they look on the Galaxy. Now, that could be just me because the Pro camera on the Galaxy phones, there is a lot to it, and it could just be me in terms of I'm not used to features on a Galaxy camera just yet, but I feel like it's a lot easier to take raw photos on the iPhone, and the photos I have taken look a lot better. So, but yeah, I do like the video and photos better on the iPhone overall, but the Galaxy is extremely close in both aspects. Now, actually, one thing that the Galaxy is better at is shooting log videos. So on the Galaxy, whenever you pull up the log videos, one, you can shoot 4K 60 just like the iPhone, but you can also shoot an 8K 30, which I personally will probably never do. But you can't shoot 8K 30 in log. But the benefit of the log on this particular phone is that, for one, you can color grade directly within the actual phone and the phone gallery itself. And for two, the video files are a lot smaller, which is definitely helpful for somebody like me who does a lot of video production. So I can go ahead and color correct the camera right there. And you can't really tell here because there's not really much colors in this scene, but it definitely corrected it. So yeah, guys, two very good cameras, two very good phones here. Woo! All right, guys, I've been talking for a long time. What do you all think about the Galaxy S25 Ultra versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max? I think overall, if I had to choose a winner, because I hate watching these videos and nobody chooses a winner, I would buy both. I would have both again, man. I love these phones. I love everything about them. They help me so much with my channel and with all of my YouTube aspirations and everything. I need to have two phones regardless because I need a phone to record my phones. Like I said, I'm not gonna spend $2,000 and buy a camera right now. It's just not something I am looking forward to doing. But I need to have two phones, man. And these two phones are the best phones to buy. But I feel like if I legit had to choose one, I'm going with the Galaxy, bro. This phone is just, it's the Mac daddy. I think Samsung can definitely do better with the Galaxy S26 Ultra. I feel like there really needs to be more of a increasement in terms of what needs to be changed in this phone versus this phone overall. But yeah, dude, the Galaxy S25 Ultra is my favorite phone right now. The speaker quality is absolutely ridiculous. I personally love the design. The software customizations just fit me like crazy. I love all of the adjustments I can do with Good Lock. I love One UI 7. I love the cameras. I love all of the AI features. We didn't even really go over the AI features, and I don't even know if we'll have time, but the Galaxy's AI blows the iPhone's AI out of the water, and I just love this phone. But like I said, I mean, I love my iPhone as well. I can't wait to see what the iPhone 17 series brings, especially the 17 Air and the 17 Pro Max. Usually if I have both phones in pocket here, and I just want to pull one out to have fun with or get something done very quickly, that's where the Galaxy comes in. And I didn't even talk about the S Pen. I use this S Pen a lot. I use it damn near every single day. I mean, even if I'm just navigating the actual screen itself, I use the S Pen a lot. I would say more than most people do. But yeah, the Galaxy is it, man. I do want to mention though, that if you are a normal consumer buying these two phones, one thing I would have to think about is the resellability of both. The iPhone Pro Max typically costs less than the Ultra does, and you typically can get more money back a year later. So that is definitely something I would personally think about if you are looking between these two phones. I mean, honestly, you can throw this to the side and give it a 17 Pro Max, and this video is going to be very similar. But that is definitely something you will want to think about. You can typically sell the iPhone and make more money after a year than you can on the Galaxy. So technically this phone overall is cheaper to own. Well, yeah, I guess in a whole bag in terms of the Apple Store and everything, but technically this is cheaper to lease to own or whatever because I can make a lot more money back. And actually, one thing I want to bring up really quick, I know I've been talking here and I said the video was done, but it's not. I want to talk about accessories real fast. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max is the king of cases. And right now my favorite case is the Andar Aspen, which is a leather case with camera control built into it. And on my Galaxy, Ryan London finally came out with a leather case. This particular setup is typically how I run these two phones if I want to wear something nice. And then I have a lot of other cases that are, more sporty. These cases are not good to use around water. So we've got the kids, we're out by the pool or we're giving baths or whatever. I don't want my leather cases around them at all when the water is involved. But at the same time, your iPhone, you will have a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can order for screen protectors, cases, phone mounts, and everything. And then of course, the iPhone has the built-in magnets when the Galaxy does not. But anyways, guys, let me close out this video because I can keep talking forever. I don't even know how long this is going to be after I edit it, but I appreciate you all for watching this video with me. If you watch this all the way through, leave a comment down below with an alien, just so I know who the real fans are, the ones that stuck through this entire battle. And let me know what you all would choose if you had to choose one phone here. If you have watched my content in the past, or especially if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.